All right. Welcome to the New York Weightlifting Podcast. I'm James McDermott. That's Sara Soto. And we're live again. I love going live. Isn't it awesome?
It's so awesome.
Hopefully we'll get a listener or two to chime in. But if not, everybody will be able to listen and watch after the fact. And with this new format, they can see both of us at the same time, which I'm still super thrilled about. It's so cool.
It is.
Now, you and I, Sara, are recovering from National Championships Week, and that's going to be the bulk of our discussion here. How are you holding up? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. It's taken me a little longer than usual just because I came back to a very aggressive work schedule, and I also had a flight cancellation. My flight was canceled on Sunday night. As I was working my last session, the text message popped up as I'm sitting at the jury table, and I'm like, great, awesome. Now what? So I ended up getting stuck in Pittsburgh for an extra night, lost half a day of work, and I've been kind of playing catch up ever since on a very busy week. But hopefully this weekend will help. How about you?
Well, I mean, hey, if we want to put a sunny spin on it, at least you got that text message while you were at the venue and not while finding out when you're at the airport, because that's even more painful when you're right there and all of a sudden it pops up 7-hour delay or the flight is canceled. I've had that happen to me twice in the past, and it is painful because then now you got to go back to the hotel. You already checked out. You can't extend your stay. What a nightmare that typically is.
Well, I had already checked out, so I had to do some scrambling to get it. Because I was going to be at the venue at 6:30 that morning, so I had no reason to keep the hotel room. But whatever, it's all good. But you're good. You recovered?
Yeah. No, no, nowhere close. Like I've felt so tired this whole week, and those are long days. Especially if you're doing 6 a.m. weigh-ins, you're up at 4. You got to get ready for the day, pack all your stuff, find an Uber to get over there. And I was actually training for this. So in the weeks leading up to nationals, I was getting up at like 6 a.m. I was scheduling my pool appointment for 7 a.m. So I have to get up early. And that did help. So it's like, hey, this was my nationals. I was training for it, preparing. I want to make sure I'm awake at 6 a.m. weigh-ins. But now after the fact, the sleep debt is hitting me hard, and I'm just trying to get caught up on all my responsibilities and just the personal things I'd like to do. Like I'd like to clean my apartment and do all that stuff. And I've just had also no motivation. I'm just going to sit here on this couch and watch TV and do nothing and just let my mind melt. So yeah, it's going to take a little bit, I feel.
Yes, indeed.
And I mean, you were there a lot longer than I was. I mean, I had a very just intense, compact nationals, but you had a more expanded nationals, which we'll talk all about that.
For sure, yeah.
A couple things first before we talk about nationals, some housekeeping things for the WSO. Number one, sneak peek on the WSO store. All right, are you ready for this? All right,
check it out. I'm so ready. Let's see. Oh,
look at that.
Awesome. Yeah,
WSO.
very cool.
T-shirt. Now, I'm not sure. I need feedback on this. It's a circular design, and I know sometimes you put circle designs on the front, but like for me, I'm like barrel chested, stocky, so like it doesn't look like a beautiful circle, So sometimes people put a little circle here and then the big one on the back. I've seen other WSOs do that, but I'm not opposed to keep it. I think it looks good. It's just my body, it just is like I'm looking at it. I'm like, it's not a perfect circle. So I don't know. What do you think? Front, back?
Tough call. I mean, I can imagine for myself who has a big chest, like it might be a little funny, but I mean, I'm going to buy one. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, maybe this is the initial run, and we see how it goes. And then if there's a request or we put up another option in the future, little circle on the front, big circle on the back. And I'm always on the fence about that because it's like double logo. Like if I'm making a T-shirt, I like just the artwork to be on the front, nothing on the back. It always kind of bugs me when there's a little version on the front and a big one on the back. I don't know.
I agree. But maybe it's like, I mean, whatever, here we are brainstorming WSO ideas, but like you could do the WSO logo on the front and then each region could have their own version with that logo on the back.
Ooh. All right. I like that. That's cool. We will be getting regional t-shirts and items on the store too. So all the WSO logos will eventually be up there. Right now, this will be a soft launch eventually here with just the main WSO logo. And it doesn't stop at that. Check this out. Wham.
Oh, I love
Look
it.
at that.
Nice.
A
Yes,
little coffee
yes.
cup. I like how it's got the blue highlights here, which matches the blue. That's not even on purpose. That just happened to be a
Really?
thing.
That
Yeah.
looks great. Cool.
You can also get a red one where it's a red handle and a red inside. It's kind of small. I mean, if I put my phone up against it, this is a smaller coffee mug. But there is a bigger option available. I can't remember how many ounces this was. I was like kind of surprised when I took it out. I'm like, oh, it's teeny tiny. Like the amount of coffee I normally have is way more than that. So yeah, we're gonna have all kinds of cool little items. So that's just a sneak peek of what's to come. I'm hoping to really I could launch it right now, but like my brain with like I'm like, am I totally happy with how like it all came out? I got the samples, so I don't know. If you're out there listening, give us some feedback and we'll see what's going on.
Exciting though.
Other thing in the news, there are 3 days left to register for early bird pricing on the New York State Championships. This is huge. We've on Sunday, June 30th, that'll be the last day. I believe it'll be like 11:59 p.m. Don't quote me, Mountain Time, to get that pricing. So definitely make sure you do that. And on Monday, July 1st, that's when regular pricing will go up. So it'll go from $105 to $125. So not a big jump, but for hey, every penny counts these days. So.
Sure does. Yeah.
There are about 77-ish, last I looked, spots left too. So 123 people have signed up for states. And I feel like that's now that nationals is over and everyone's focus is kind of a little more open, that's going to go even quicker. So remember, last year it sold out in 40 days. We only made it 10 days into regular pricing. So if you're out there and you're on the fence, claim your spot now, because last year as well, we had a wait list and spots just didn't open up on the wait list. It was people held their spots and they showed up at the meet. So the highly coveted spots, make sure you get those. Now, one last piece of news here. I forgot to ask you beforehand, but I saw some things on Instagram. It was someone's birthday yesterday. Correct? Am I right? From Murder Crows?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I actually found out very late in the day. I did not know this. So yeah.
Okay.
I had to think about that there. Yeah.
Yep. So happy belated birthday to our number one fan, Albert Chun from Murder Crows Weightlifting.
Happy birthday, Albert.
How could we not wish Albert a happy birthday?
Yep. He gets very excited. Last time when I told him that he was mentioned in the podcast, he immediately took out his phone and sat there in the gym like watching it.
That's awesome. So I hope that his birthday brought good lifting, maybe some PRs. I don't know what the training looked like. I did see some videos posted. So congratulations, Albert, on another year of weightlifting and around the sun. And that's it. That is all the WSO news at the moment, but a lot more things are on the way. So let's talk about nationals. New York kicked butt. We were awesome.
Yeah.
Like we had technical officials there, we had athletes there, we had coaches representing their clubs and the state. I got to speak with some people that were from New York, and everybody was having a good time. There of course we won't go into them, stories floating around of meat drama, but none of it involves New York people. We are all innocent. We all were kind and courteous in the back room, as far as I know, and we took care of our athletes. It was excellent coaching across the board, so congratulations to everybody that went, and great job on all the hard work that it took to get to nationals. It's certainly not easy. So coaches and athletes alike. So thank you, everybody. Yeah. Sarah, any thoughts on that?
I mean, it was quite a week. Yeah. But I'm always proud of, whenever I see New York friends, especially the ones that are a little further away from me that I don't get to see very much. So, Steve from up there at Western New York, and John from Empire Weightlifting. And I always just, it makes me so happy to see people up there. And I mean, I had a lot of great conversations with everyone, but especially my fellow New York friends. It's just always so good to see you all.
Definitely. Yeah, that I did get a chance to chat with Steve for a while, and that is the cool thing about these events. You just don't see some people that often, unless it's the state championships or another big meet like this. And I know that we see, our kind of WSO crew, people on the board a little more often, local meets, but it was great to chat with people and just see what's new, what's going on. And everybody's doing really, really well from what I heard. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, we had quite a few medals earned at the meet here. Let me share my screen. I just posted this on our Instagram page. Follow at New York Weightlifting. Oh, wait, what is this telling me here? I got to learn how to do this. Entire screen. Allow. Boom. All right. Can you see this?
I can.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So yeah, we had a lot of medalists. So we won't read the entire post. It'll be in the newsletter. I still have to put this up on the website. It is on Instagram right now, but we'll just kind of go through the names of medalists here for the youth national championships. Oliver Combs earned some medals there, and I believe. Okay, yep. Then Aurora Garland earned a medal. Sadie Serbus earned a medal. Landon Tarazona, Reagan Fromer. So we had 5 medalists for the youth national championships, and neither one of us were there for the youth portion of this event. I'm a little envious, but also not so much, of the technical officials that were there for the entire thing, just because I was only there for the national junior championships, and there was a little bit of FOMO before and after. I'm like, oh, look at all this action going down. But I'm sure if I was there and just exhausted, I wouldn't have felt the same. But once you're back home, you're like, well, I could have reffed another session. I understand why people do that.
Yes.
For the junior national championships, we had one solo medalist, and that was Faith Wyand. She got 3 silver medals there. For the national U23 championships, we had 2 medalists. And then for the national U25 championships, we had 5 medalists. Oh, and this just skipped on me. And we have here a national champion. So Natalie Hart is national champion for the U25s. And she was also 9th place overall by Sinclair in the U25s. So
that's
congratulations there. For the adaptive championships, Helen Filosa is a national champion. She earned 3 gold medals across the board there. Congratulations, Helen. I think I met Helen once, maybe, at one of the Hudson Valley meets.
Probably. Yeah. She lifts a lot. Yeah. She's very, very tall. You can't miss her.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. Well, I mean, all right. To me, a lot of people who maybe wouldn't be considered tall are tall. If you're above my eye line, I'm like, that's a tall person. But all right, maybe
she's
much
tall. Yeah. She is very, very tall.
Speaking of tall people, I saw there's a basketball player from China, I think, or some other country, who's 7'3". She's 7'3", and that's I don't think I've ever you see a lot of 7-foot men. I don't know if I've ever seen a 7-foot tall woman before. That's pretty impressive. There actually is, I believe, in Binghamton, New York, a guy that works at one of the barbecue places, believe it or not, who's 7 feet tall. I remember when he came over to the table and to take the order, you're like, oh, alrighty. So I'm pretty sure he's 7 feet. And I think he opened with, yes, I am tall, because he probably gets people asking, every single time. For the senior national championships, we had 2 medalists. Dean medaled again, and Dean is a masters athlete, and he's still getting medals. I remember last year he had a big meet, right?
Yes. I can't remember if he beat a masters record. I can't remember exactly, but it's been a tradition. I always help Joe Triolo with counting for Dean at national events. I think we've done 4 years now. So yeah, I mean, it's always fun to be in the back there with Dean. Yeah, he always does well. He's always smiling. He's very serious, and then he gets smiling.
Yeah. Hey, you got to stay focused and dialed in when you're in competition, and then the smiles or the tears they come out.
Yes. And Mo is actually Michael Mo. We all just call him Mo at Murder of Crows. He's actually a national champion, like
Oh yes,
senior
yep.
nationals. So that was really exciting. We all joke about it because that means because Hampton Morris, unfortunately, bombed out in the snatch of his meet. I mean, they were just using his as a kind of a train through for the Olympics. So, but since he did not total, Mo was able to take the gold spot on the podium, and we were very, very proud of him. He had a really, really good meet.
Is he the first senior national champion for Murder Crows?
He is probably the first male senior champion for New York. Brian DeGeneiro and I were talking about this. We can't remember the last time there was a male senior national champion. I'm sure,
Wow.
He threw a name out there and I can't remember who it was. We could think of 2 women, but who were in, and still it had to be like close to 10 years for a woman. But yeah, so congratulations.
Maybe not since like the only name that comes to mind would be maybe Frankie Murray. Maybe not since him.
I don't think he ever actually was. I don't know. I can't remember what Brian said.
Really?
But anyway, yeah. He was like a podium finisher, but let me see if I could find the thing.
Wow. Well, yeah, that's awesome. That's impressive. Congratulations, Michael Mo.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I was skimming through here. I think those are all the national championships. Forgive us if we missed one. It's all a blur of words here at the moment. Also, I'll scroll down just so his name gets highlighted. Cooper Johnson also medaled. And I was just telling this to you, and I'll just put it out there. Everybody, after these events, it's always a good idea to go into bars, check your results, make sure that the right numbers are in there, and also check the spreadsheets that are posted on USA Weightlifting's website. The category for the 109 plus men for U25, they're all blank. There's no numbers. So that's why I didn't pick up on Cooper Johnson having medaled. I'm glad he told me. I will update this post once we're done here. But yeah, it's always a good idea to double check that stuff because it's all numbers and documents and stuff, and things sometimes just get lost. So you want to make sure that your results are accurate in case you're trying to, let's say, qualify for another meet.
Yep. And as we were discussing before we went live, this was the first time using OWL CMS at a national event. So things are, there have maybe been some kinks to work out, and that could be one of them. So
yeah, definitely. Congratulations to all of our medalists. You guys are awesome. And congratulations to the coaches too, that also have to, have all the stress of a competition and anything else you can imagine going on and taking care of those athletes.
Yes. And traveling and being there. I mean, I think of people like, especially like our Griffin friends, and Steve was talking about this too, but it's people who don't necessarily even have juniors, but they do have youth and seniors. So it's like they're there for the whole week and have kind of nothing to do in between. So if that was you, hope you found some fun things to do in Pittsburgh in the middle. It was actually a great city for it. So, can't complain too much, but
yeah, that's tough. That's tough. So shout out to those coaches doing the hard work there.
Yeah.
Now our next topic here is officiating. So my main mission was to earn the national referee credential, and I'm happy to announce again. I already did it on my social media, and we posted it out there that I'm now a national referee. And look at that, or technical official. And it says it right over here on my little thing. So
yes, awesome.
That was a big goal of mine for this year. It was time. Like you can only be a local ref for so many years, and it'd been like over 10 years now. And I wanted to do it because since I'm the president of the WSO, I feel like I should have a higher credential of officiating stuff and And so I wanted to do that for the WSO. I wanted to do it for my team, wanted to do it, for myself. So those are my motivations for doing it, and it was a great experience.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think, I don't know. Why don't you walk us maybe through your experience? Like once you got because you had already passed the written test, right?
Yes.
So now it's practical time. So you find out from Jenny you are going to test Jenny Schumacher, who runs all of the testing. She lets you know you're going to test the juniors. So you get there the night before. I know you had a time, but then you show up on day one, and what was your experience like? Tell us, please.
Yeah. So I pretty much did this whole process in this year. I of course you have to be a local ref for 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be a ref for 2 years, and I've been a local ref for forever. And you have to get enough local meet credits. What is it like? It's like 20 meets or something like that. And then you have to work at a national meet and work enough sessions reffing or doing other things like weigh-ins or speaking or marshalling in order to take the written exam. I did one weigh-in session at the Arnold last year, and then I did all of my work sessions this year, took the written exam in May, and then now I went to nationals to do the practical exam. And you also need a certain amount of work credits at that phase too. So I did that in 3 days. I was there Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday for junior nationals. And so it was a very busy officiating first half of the year here to get this done very, very quickly, because I just wanted to knock it out here. I didn't want to have it waiting. I'm like, all right, I'll do more credits at the Arnold next year and this and that. I just wanted to get it done. It was intense, I will say. I won't go into my hotel snafu stuff. That's still ongoing, but not to my fault at all. But I will say that you definitely feel like more pressure when you're reffing, when you're being evaluated and testing. It's not just like, oh, I fell asleep for that rep or something like that, or all right, I'm going to give the lifter the benefit of the doubt here. It's like, no. Like, what is the hard answer? What is the standard? Because there's a jury behind you that you have to agree with. And that's how it went for those testing sessions. There's 3 jury members behind you. They're all IWF category 1s, just like Sara. And, you have to match up to 90% for their decisions. So you definitely feel that pressure. And I was center ref for my first testing session too. So it's like, oh my goodness, like that was like the hardest one for sure. My heart was racing. And there's
That's
a little
the
bit
best spot to be, though.
yeah. Well, I like the side refs. I like.
Oh man, that gets dicey though, and that's why it's like they have to. Jenny alternates who is in the center chair because it is the easiest and the clearest to see those elbows without like any question, pretty much. So it's like she will alternate who gets to sit there. So if that's why you ever got moved around in some seats, that is probably why. She was just trying to give somebody else a chance.
I actually did get moved around. When I looked at the volunteer sheet, I was center ref for all 3 of my testing sessions. And so I guess that's considered the easiest one. I consider that one the hot seat. And so I was like, oh no, I gotta be center ref. I got to make sure that the weights are right, and any platform issues, stuff like that. And there's like a little bit of self-doubt that creeps up in your mind too, because, if you give a red light and the other 2 refs give white lights, and now, all right, the majority decision is against you. You're like, well, was I right? Was I wrong? And I think on some of those I was right. It should have been a red, and other ones I was probably wrong, but so you definitely start to think about your decisions a lot more. And I'm just happy it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was discussing this because obviously I'm still relatively new to sitting on these juries, but it's really fun sitting on a jury because the pressure is not on you, obviously, but also you are seeing everybody's decisions. Like the little box that lights up, it shows you the 3 referees' decisions. And the way a jury works is that you don't hit your decision until all 3 of the refs that are sitting, their decision has come in. So you like let them go, and then you hit your button, and then you can kind of look, and then you discuss with your other jury members. And in our case for USA Weightlifting, we never have more than, you can have 5, but we never have more than 3. It's always 3. So it's fun to kind of sit there and talk and learn. And you know, there's the jury president who sits in the center. They will call out which athlete is coming out to the platform, you know, 5 first attempt, and then everybody looks at their little jury protocol sheet. And on our jury protocol sheet, we will mark whatever each ref's decisions were with either a line or an X, and then a 0 means it was just like a flat out miss. And then we also put down our decision, so we can see ourselves how we weighed against you, even after the fact, after you guys have everybody's made their decision. But it's the discussion of what you saw with the jury, other jury members, is very interesting, because I feel like that's something that the refs sitting in the chair that are potentially testing could really, like, you know, get some help from, as opposed to the people who are supposedly the seasoned professionals in the back.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to, when I was sitting in the chair testing, I would love to have, like you're saying, you have no idea what the jury thought behind you. So it's like, it would be cool to hear what the category 1 technical officials thought they saw with an elbow or an elbow touch or something like that. You know what I mean? But so I enjoy that part of it.
There weren't any instances, at least in my sessions, where the jury like called you over and be like, hey, why did you give that decision? And there weren't any jury overrules either, where the jury was like, all of you guys were wrong. We're going to give the lifter that lift, or we're going to take that lift away, you know? So none of that happened, which I don't wish it happened, but yeah, just like you said, getting an explanation on like, oh, actually you were right. You know, that was an elbow wobble or something like that. And the other 2 were wrong, you know, just to know, all right, I'm on the right track. Because in those situations, when you saw the same lifter back again, you're like, okay, well, was I right or was I wrong before when I gave that one, you know?
Totally.
So that was a little bit tricky part.
I heard from the jurists, would you say, the jury members that sat behind you, that you did very well. So just so you know.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good. I will send them their $20 bills after the fact.
Do it.
So yeah, it was a really cool experience. I would say too, you know, it was a different feeling. Like you were in the lift with the athletes a little more. Like it just felt, I don't know, intimate's not the word I want to use. It's just you felt connected to the lifts a little bit more than just maybe, I don't know, just when you're just like reffing freer, you know. You definitely like I think everybody should do this. I had my phone on airplane mode and in my pocket. So there's no phone on the table. There's no papers to write on. I had a water bottle away from me, you know, but I was like, hey, I'm testing. Like, I'm not going to pull up Instagram right now. And not that it would be a mark against me, I don't think, but I also don't want the jury to see me over there on a 2-minute clock checking Instagram, you know, or the WhatsApp or something like that. I'm taking this seriously right now. I'm locked in. I'm thinking about the last lift. What did I see on that lifter? And then what am I looking for on the next lift? If they got a no lift, what do I think they need to do to improve? You know, things like that.
Totally fair. And I mean, I appreciate as an athlete, it would annoy me if I came out and saw my technical officials, especially my ref, sitting in front of me on their phone, like as I'm walking out for a lift. Unfortunately, as I found out, being the competition secretary, it was unavoidable for me when I was in that role, because I am dealing with all sorts of requests from technical officials, alarms saying that like people are stuck in a chair and can't make it over there. So I had to make a lot of decisions on the fly. But when I am not a competition secretary, you better believe I do not look at my phone until there's the 10-minute break or the session is over.
Yep. And one thing I noticed was, so there were plenty of times where I was like, no, I was clearly right on the decision, you know. And sometimes you can like also, if you're testing with, let's say, a national ref who's going for Cat 2 or a Cat 2 who's going for Cat 1, you can maybe start to doubt yourself as well on like, oh, everything they're saying must be right. And if I disagree, I must be wrong because I'm just a local ref. And that's just not true. The thing that I noticed on the ones that I knew I was definitely right to give a red, where a lot of referees were not calling the rebends on the recovery for the jerk. So people would hit the jerk, beautiful lockout. As they're bringing their feet back together, goosh, elbow goes, and then they lock it out again. And I was like, no, that's not good, and that's a lift that would fly at a local meet most of the time, like everybody, because everyone's screaming, everyone's all excited. Yeah, they got that lift, and that's really a red light, right?
Yeah, you are totally right.
So I definitely looked for that. And then I knew the next time that lifter came out, all right, I know they can get to the lockout on the split, and I'm looking for that too. But then I'm looking hard to see, like, hey, can they hold it together on the recovery? Because that's where they missed it last time. Since these sessions were small, it was easier to remember who did what and what was happening. I do know some technical officials have like a notebook, and they write down the number of the athlete and their what all the attempts were and stuff like that. And I thought that was interesting on maybe like, all right, here's lifter number 5, second attempt. I said red, and I said red because of recovery issue or elbow bend. I thought that was kind of cool. Like maybe that'd be something to do. That'd be the only thing I would do at the table. So it seems like a lot of work, but
but that's yeah, I have some issues with that, but I won't go into it.
no, hey, let's go into it, because that might
I
stop me from doing it.
I like, it's fine in practice. Like, I mean, I would say, if anything, if you want to start, you can maybe request a jury protocol sheet and kind of keep that in front of you so you can practice that too. I mean, it's just a grid. It's very simple. But I don't know the purpose of explaining why you did what you did, because it's not like you're going to remember the lift, like, even into the next session. So what good does writing it down do, unless it's maybe something that like you really care about and you have some sort of like weird vendetta in your head for an athlete, and you're going to come back later and be like, oh, this person always does this. Like, I don't know. I feel like you need to kind of just like let it go. Like, sure, you will always remember the calls that, like, I mean, I can certainly remember certain sessions that I have repped in, like when I was testing for Cat 1, and it took me 2 sessions. And my first session, everybody was great. We all did awesome. All of the testing, the lifts were super clean. It was like very easy and awesome, but we didn't have enough attempts to adjudicated to be able to pass. So we had to sit for another. And that next session was a bloodbath, and everybody was making horrible elbows and misses, and blah, it was awful. And by the end of that, it was like, man, all of our percentages like dropped a pretty significant amount, that it was like kind of on the line. But it's just like, I will remember a lot of those lifts. I will remember some of the lifters in that session for sure. But I mean, I try not to keep that too much, because as we know, as lifters, like you will fix things hopefully for the next time.
Yeah. I'm wondering now if that's why some of the TOs I saw doing it were like, all right, like I wrote down that they had an elbow lockout issue. Now I'm just purposely looking for that elbow next time. I wonder why. I didn't ask anybody. I should have maybe asked, what are you writing down?
Yeah.
That would be cool to get the jury protocol sheet. That would be something, even just like, I guess, like if you're prepping to do this, you could watch the World Championships and have that jury protocol sheet, or even watch past USAW live streams in the archives and test yourself, essentially. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Sally does it. Judge.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you'll see their decision at some point, right? So it's like, but I know Sally has done that at our local meet. She'll ask for a jury protocol sheet so she can, when she's roughing, so she can follow along just for practice. It's helpful. Always
That's cool.
Keep your mind fresh.
Where do you get that from? Where do you get the jury protocol sheet?
I mean, the meet director can give it to you. You can ask. You can ask. Let's see. I would say Pedro at national meets, or whoever, or the competition secretary actually is probably the best person to go to, because they'll print one out for you, since Pedro's probably very busy and running around dealing with something. I mean, I always just print out an extra one and give it to Sally if she's there, because I know she likes to do it. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, maybe I'll email Pedro and say, hey, can I get that sheet?
Yeah.
Another thing that I did too is before the session and during the 10-minute break, go to the back room and watch the lifters warming up. so I know what I'm in store from. That was advice that Jerry Dunn gave me many, many years ago. And he said that he would do that. He would go to the back room and watch the snatches. That way, if someone's split snatching, he knows, okay, that's not going to be a surprise. And he can just be focused on the points of performance for a split snatch, making sure that the lockout is there, making sure the back knee doesn't touch the platform. So I did do that, just kind of just sat in the back room on the resting chairs and just get like a survey of the room. Like, all right, what's everybody doing? How are they looking? Oh, that jerk looks really strong. Okay. That's what that lockout looks like. That person squat jerks, because sometimes that catches you off guard. You're like, wait a minute, I don't even know what I saw. I wasn't expecting them to do that. So I always thought that was good advice from Jerry. And that was something that I did at this meet. And I think it helped.
Definitely. Always good advice. I mean, he told me that 2 years ago, and I love to do it when I have time. But how many, so many times since, like you said, juniors had relatively small sessions and everything ran very well on time. I don't remember anything being crazy. But, sometimes you're running from one chair to a different chair and you don't have time to do that. But
Yes, yeah, that is true. That is true. It is a little bit of a whirlwind. Like I had some sessions where I was reffing or speaking, and then I need to be at the marshal's table in 8 minutes because this session went a little bit long and stuff like that.
yeah,
And speaking of bloodbath, you mentioned that a little bit a couple minutes ago. There was one session that there was at least 15 stoppages because of blood on the bar. That's Jenny and Greg Sonnebrand and I were reffing that one. And I was supposed to marshal with you during that session, but I got moved to ref. And it was like every couple seconds, blood, 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 blood. It was the bloodiest session I've ever seen. And it was hands and shins. There was just so much blood. It's crazy. Athletes, shake those calluses, cover your shins.
Yeah. It's interesting because like you and I have discussed, the athlete does not have to cover it up. It is in their best interest. It's in health, the best interest of health to do so. But also sometimes you just cannot stop the bleeding. I mean, when I was testing for Cat 2, I remember I was the TC and I had a session where there was an athlete who was bleeding like out of his thumb. Like I think his fingernail had kind of like separated from his his actual thumb a little bit. So he was bleeding, couldn't stop it. Tape is not allowed to extend past your finger, right? So it presented this issue where we just knew it. We just knew he was going to be bleeding every time. There was nothing he could do. He tried, but there was absolutely nothing could be done. He was bleeding in a chalk bucket. It was a nightmare. I mean, it was absolutely the worst when you're a TC and you're testing and you're thinking all eyes are on you. They're not, but yeah, so you're just freaking out about that and keeping everything as clean as possible. But yes, the athlete does not have to actually do anything to prevent the blood. So here we are.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Yeah, it could have been more than that. I was just like, this has got to be number 15 at this point. It was wild. I will say for a very long time, I was against blue suit, like owning one and wearing one. I'm not a suit person and blue is not my color, but there is something to be said about wearing the uniform. It's just like when I'm coaching, right? If I'm not wearing my coach's shirt, it doesn't feel right. Like you feel like you have, the authority to do something. You feel like it's legitimate. You feel like when people look at you, okay, that is the coach or that is the official, versus if you're just wearing a hoodie and some random thing. So there is something to be said about confidence in what you're doing when you're dressed for the part, and what's that thing, dress for the job that you want or something like that,
yeah.
So there is something to it. I did notice a lot of variation in interpretation of the dress code. So I'm on a mission to find a Godzilla tie. I wanted to find little Godzilla buttons since the buttons on my suit broke because I also had dry cleaning issues. We could do a whole podcast on my issues leading up to this event, but I would like to find custom buttons. And I did find Godzilla cufflinks. Not that I'm a cufflinks person, but I'm gonna do some customizing. Dress socks, no one will know unless I pull them up. But
I'd be careful with all that. There are some older TOs who are very by the book. I know that Mario Dispenza actually got in trouble for having like a design on his socks once. So I would stick to the uniform as much as you can. And if you can't get a USAW tie, I would get something that is James, you looked great in your suit. That suit looks awesome. You did such a good job.
I know. I'm just saying I saw some people wearing capris and a dress coat. I saw a lot of custom ties, things like that, and it's like, then I saw like just random people not dressed to code at all in chairs and stuff, probably because volunteers are needed. So it's like, hey, if I'm at the Arnold and this tie is a deal breaker, hey, I don't know. I don't tell you.
Yeah.
Now I can see if this is international or I'm testing up or something, but like I do see like a lot of people just kind of doing whatever,
Well,
I was wondering
we do
about
have
that.
a lot of local refs, right? And local refs are not expected to have to purchase a suit when they're helping out. So it's like they probably are the ones who are more likely to have those the more like, let's say, fun uniform interpretations and stuff. But I mean, I mean, even things like seeing a shirt untucked or something. I mean, I saw Sally yell at one of the refs who was wearing a dress but had her blue suit coat over the dress. And I mean, it's a fine line, because you want people to help. We need bodies and chairs, especially for juniors, because that's that middle of the week weird problem. But at the same time, it's like, again, the thing about being a technical official that I think people forget is that, sure, we're there to enforce the rules, absolutely. We're also there to help our athletes be successful, and also, just like how you and I do at our local meets, we try to get everybody prepared so that when they go to a national meet, they're not surprised. And I like to think that we are preparing people at nationals for international meets so that they are not surprised if they do make it to that level. So, and also, I just try to be as invisible as possible. So, sitting there in a tracksuit might be a little jarring to somebody if they walk out and see that they're they're two refs or not. Yeah,
is there will be something on me. Who knows where it'll be? And definitely at, like, let's say the state championships. Oh boy, like I'm ordering the vest because I'm a vest person. I feel better in the vest. So at the state championships, I'm gonna vest it up with my blue vest and everything. I'll still have the jacket, but there's gonna be some accessories and stuff. And also, if you're out there, whoever has my pen, so my multicolored adjustable pen, this is hey, shout out to Joe Rodriguez, Hudson Valley weightlifting pen going on right now. I left it in one of the weigh-in rooms, and it was probably amongst the other pens, which you would think people would leave the pens, and this one was taken by someone. And I will find you someday. We'll be at a national meet, and I'm going to see my pen, and I'll know it's mine. And I'm like, hey, where'd you get that? Did you find that at the junior nationals? So I put it down somewhere. It was either at the marshal's table or at one of the weigh-ins, and it disappeared. So,
a CS could have just gathered it up at the end of the night, by the way. So
that's possible.
You never know.
I need Pedro to go through the bucket of pens to see if my pen can be found. I have history with that pen. But now I'm going to get a new pen, and like I showed you, I found a cool Godzilla pen. So yes, I am a crazy person. So that will be my new pen. And then it'll be undeniable whose pen it is. Now, Sarah, you were competition secretary at a national meet for the first time, senior national championships. Congratulations first. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I was very, very scared. In the week leading up and the night before, barely slept. It's so silly because it's all things I know how to do, but you just don't know what is going to happen. And also you get paired up with somebody. Yeah, for sure. And you get paired up with a person. There's never just one CS at a meet, although I think that there was at Masters in Reno, because there was a last minute pull out of somebody. So we had one CS, but everybody banded together and helped. But anyway, that was a smaller meet. Besides the point, there's always at least two competition secretaries for every national event. We have youth championships tends to have four, just because there's a lot of athletes. There's a lot going on, and you have children. So it's just, it's good practice to do that. But I was paired up with Corinne, who is a legendary technical official. I mean, totally like a person that I have looked up to since the first day I met her when she weighed me in at Masters Nationals in Savannah, Georgia, like many years ago. But and I mean, it's still, you just don't know how you're going to work with somebody, right? And how that's going to go, and if there's any personality clashes or anything like that. And I'm happy to report that I had a fantastic time working with Corinne. She was an excellent partner. I would gladly do that again anytime. She was great. Thank you, Corinne, for everything. But yeah, I mean, it's quite a job. And I mean, I know senior nationals is kind of thought of as a little bit easier because it does tend to be a smaller meet because of the qualification totals and all that. And I mean, for sure, we had 2 platforms for, a day and a half of the meet, so half the meet. So it was a little bit easier in that regard. It was a pretty good starter for me. But it was, as we briefly touched on, and we'll not go into any further. Day 1 was a wild one, and things that Corinne, who has been doing this for 30 plus years, has never experienced, she experienced. And at the end of the day, I said, "Is this what it's always like?"
You don't want to be the person that does something, or the persons that the individual who's been doing it for 30 plus years has never seen before. Like what you're doing is so wild that like people who have been doing this stuff for decades are like, that's literally never happened. You are the first, and it's not an honor you want to have happen.
So true. That is really, yeah. But after that, we had a really, really smooth and nice day 2 and 3, and it all balances out, I guess. But it was really fun. It's a lot of work. People think it's just this very basic thing, like, oh, because again,
you're putting out fires all day.
Totally. And I mean, some CSs do things differently. Like, one person will always stay at weigh-ins and make sure that stuff is dealt with, and there's staffing over there. And then the other person will sometimes just stay kind of on the floor, like near the field of play, making sure that staff are in chairs for each of those sessions and that any fires are put out there. But some people alternate. And so Corinne is used to kind of always being in weigh-ins, and whoever she works with will do the floor. This time we talked beforehand, she wanted to alternate, which I was super happy to do. I like the variety, so it was great to be able to change it up. As you know, weigh-ins were very far, relatively speaking, from
one escalator.
Yeah, one elevator. The elevator did work, but it was a little slow. But and then you still had to walk a fair amount. It wasn't like, especially when you're in like dress shoes, like, come on. But so it was a little bit like, basically using WhatsApp as like a walkie-talkie to convey stuff and make sure, okay, everything's good down here, you're good up there, kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, it was a lot. Corinne at the end of the first day asked me how many steps I had walked and how that related to, what I walk in a normal day. And I mean, for sure, I think in a normal day in New York City, where I still make a point to go out for a walk, I walk about 5 miles every day. And I mean, for, each day of nationals, I walked about 8.5, sometimes 9 miles. So yeah, there's a lot around.
It's a lot. I wonder what the like distance between the weigh-ins and the competition area like actually is. Like, if we were going to say the back room where they get all the papers and put stuff in the computer, not a half a mile, but like maybe like 400 meters, like a track distance, like to get out of the convention hall all the way to the escalator, up the escalator, down the hall. I don't know.
I'd take your word for it. I'm really bad with distance stuff.
Maybe 200 meters. I don't know. I don't know either, but it was pretty far away. And one of the days during juniors, the escalator the escalator wasn't working. So they had 2 of them, and then for whatever reason, one of them broke down. Or I know they were doing construction, on the building too. Did you end up going up the elevator to the roof to see the view?
I did. Somebody suggested that to me. So I took Kelly Weesey, one of our refs or technical officials from California, up there with me to show her, because I said, oh, it's an amazing view. Like, let's go check it out. So glass elevator up to that roof. That convention center was amazing. I really loved it. I actually learned during my canceled flight, when I stayed an extra night, I took a boat tour, a sightseeing tour with a few friends,
That's
and I
very cool.
learned that the convention center is actually I can't remember what it's called. It's like carbon neutral. It's some sort of like standard for and some environmental standards, like regulated thing. I don't know. It's pretty cool. It takes up 3 city blocks, and yeah, it's humongous. We didn't obviously take up all of that,
Yeah.
but it was definitely a lot. And I mean, we shared our exhibition hall with USA Judo for their Junior Olympics, which was
Yeah.
very interesting. They didn't show up until Friday, so but yeah, it was
I heard
interesting all to
judo
see.
is pretty wild. I didn't see it, but I heard that there were armed guards because the parents get a little rowdy, and there was also this definitely I can confirm there was a scuffle or a fist fight in the lobby between some parties for judo. So yeah,
Yes,
they
yes.
take that very seriously, and you know, I'm just glad I'm not in a sport where parents are going to come find you. Why'd you give my kid a red light, or why'd you give my athlete a red light? I'm sure it happens from time to time, but not to that extent. I imagine where armed guards are needed to protect officials and other families and stuff.
It's happened in the past. It's been a
Oh
while, but
gosh, we need to do an episode that's just the tea, just USAW tea
uh,
time. We'll talk about
okay.
old tea that people may not know. Not new tea. New tea is too fresh. You got to wait at least 2 years to air the tea,
Yeah,
and then no
I like
names.
that.
Just like, hey, this happened. Just so everyone knows. But no names. And if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Well, congratulations.
thank you.
Competition secretary. That I think for running a meet like a national meet, um, really the meet director position is always filled. That's Pedro's job. So this is the top job you could possibly get at a national meet, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. And I mean, it's something that I actually learned this week that blew my mind was that people people seem to think that that's like that the competition secretary thing is this like elite status thing, but it's and I know people think, oh, it's just you just weigh in. It's really hard. It is physically draining. I mean, I am a very extroverted introvert, but every night I was ready to go to bed as soon as we were done for the day. I was exhausted, but of course, the way my brain works, it's just going, and I barely got any sleep. So I'm just operating on this continual sleep deficit, and you have to be there for every session of the entire event that you are the competition secretary
Everybody's
for.
problem is your problem.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's hard, and you're dealing with so many personalities, so many things that I thought I knew about certain people that I just, and now I'm like, okay, noted for next time. I know that this person is not going to be in their chair until literally 1 minute before the first lift starts. So like just things like that. It's just there was a lot of navigation it was exhausting. It is so much work. And I mean, I've always had a great respect for people that have done this job, and I figured I should try to help, because I do feel like our competition secretary pool in USA weightlifting is very small. Up
Yes.
until recently, it was mostly women. Mike Choi was like the lone dude that would do it, but now we have a few others: Eric Winter, David Roderick, who can jump in and do that too.
And you have to be a
And
Cat 1, right?
no, you don't have to be, but you have to sign up the year before. Every year, Pedro will do a call for who would like to shadow, and then you have to shadow for a meet, and then based on that, you can the following year you can ask, you can register to or apply basically to be a competition secretary, and the
Got it.
technical committee will weigh all of that, and then you can say which meets you would be able to be a competition secretary for, and then the technical committee will vote. They take all of the information into account, and then they will select. So a year ahead who, like, I think there was an email that went out in like late January saying who the competition secretaries were for the whole year. So I also know that I'm going to be competition secretary with Jody Stumbo in Tucson, Arizona for American Open finals in December. So that's a 4-day meet. So that's gonna be a lot. But yeah, we'll see. It
All
should
right.
be fun. Yeah.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
New York representing, getting stuff done, and then you're going to keep doing it. So that's awesome. That'll only help us at the local level. because now
Yes.
now when stuff comes up at a local meet, you're like, oh, it's one day, it's nowhere near the drama of whatever has happened at nationals. I did realize that in New York, we are pretty chill. We have our characters. Sometimes there's a dust up, but nowhere near the level of what I've seen that other is going on across the country. Everybody's pretty friendly here. Everybody's pretty cool. Everybody knows each other. I'm so glad that we're a one state WSO instead of this state, that state, and there's all these personalities and egos and stuff like that. I think our egos are kind of in check, not that bad out here in New York, but out there in the rest of the state, it's a little crazy, once you see the rest of the community, but so yeah, very interesting. Sarah, we're slowly getting to our time. I think we got about 10 minutes. Let's go through some memorable moments of things that popped up. I'll get us started. Sally and I were marshaling together on my first day, and Danny Camargo came over, and he just wanted to say, hey, thank you so much for volunteering your time to be here. He shook both of our hands. He's like, I really appreciate what you're doing. I know it's a lot of money. It's a lot of time. It's the middle of the week, but we can't do it if you guys aren't here, on a Tuesday when you should be at work to have our lifters lift. So that was just a really classy thing to do, just shaking the officials' hands, saying that you're grateful. And that was a nice way to start, because I had some rougher run-ins throughout the rest of the weekend, but it just shows you the different level of, class, I guess, and personalities out there. And I just thought that was a really cool thing. And if you're a lifter, thank the officials, even at the local meet, shake their hands, or the loaders, everybody say, hey, thank you so much for doing this for me. Cause I can't do these lifts. I can't qualify if you're not here on a Saturday all day to help me out. So, yeah, I think that's a great practice for everybody to do. Thank the volunteers.
Danny is amazing like that. He has always said stuff like that to me. I mean, he still to this day, when I see him, he thanks me for my time working on the board of directors. And, he's super appreciative of everybody. So he class act, that Danny Camargo.
Definitely. We're big fans.
Yes. Yes.
How about you, Art? What's something that pops up in your mind of like a cool moment or something you saw?
Oh man, there were a lot.
I know there's so many things.
I don't know. I wish I had thought about this a little more before. I mean, this is so silly, but this is just the thing that comes to mind, because maybe it was like one of the last things that happened, but it's just those tight weigh-ins. And it's very funny because, yes, we get the singlet allowance, but again, working with a seasoned professional like Corinne, who has seen it all, it's really fun when an athlete is close and she knows all of the magic tricks to get a person to get the right number on the scale. And there was one athlete, and it was right at the end there, and she really, I don't know, I can't remember what she did. I feel like I shouldn't even say the tricks, because it's technically, we're not really supposed to do that, but we're not supposed to advise athletes what to do. You're supposed to send them to, maybe tell the coaches like, hey, they need to lose this much, and like let them deal with it. But this was an older athlete, definitely an adult, not a kid, and asking for advice, and Corinne knows what to do. But it's the screams when this athlete finally made weight, and it said 81.24 or whatever on the scale. it was a good really moment. Yeah, super good moment. It's really fun. And I mean, those are, like Corinne said to me, like, those are the moments when you can help an athlete like that, and they're happy and they're, set up for success. Like that's what it's all about, right? Like, we just want to help the athletes, and that's great.
I had a couple of those go down where athletes needed the whole hour to meet weight, and they disappeared and somehow came back. And I'm like, I don't know what you did, but I know there was one young man who went outside onto the balcony during the heat wave, and he was just out there pacing back and forth. And we discovered that he may have been wearing his singlet. So a word of advice: if you are going to try to sweat it out, don't wear your singlet. You got to take that off because the singlet will get saturated and now it'll be heavier when you get on there. So take the singlet off, put the sweats on, go sweat, then put the towel off, and then put the singlet back on. So, but he made weight. I didn't have anybody who missed weight, thankfully.
Yeah, I don't think I did either. Yeah. That's success. Because I hate turning those people away.
Yeah. I remember one kid wasn't going to show up to weigh in, and his buddy was helping me do the weigh-in, or I was helping him do the weigh-in. I went up there to help him. And so he called him, and he wasn't even in town. He's like, oh, yeah, I didn't even come. I wasn't going to be able to make weight. It's like, all right, well, then, because we were waiting for him. He's like, all right, then we're not going to wait for you anymore, and scratched him. So that was just kind of funny that the person doing the weigh-in just happened to knew this kid and had his phone number and called him. And he's like, yo, yeah, I'm still in town. I'm asleep. I thought my weigh-in, actually, he thought his weigh-in was at like 6 a.m. or whatever. And this was like at like 1. I was like, he didn't even know when he was weighing it because he wasn't coming.
That's so funny. Yeah. And I mean, that's actually like, that's a huge piece of advice I would like to give is that if you decide for a national meet that you will not be coming and maybe you can't make weight, maybe something else came up in life, I make sure you withdraw officially, please. Like it is such a huge help. You keep the machine moving properly. People, weigh-in officials can leave. They don't have to sit there for the whole hour waiting for you. I know it's like a courtesy, but holy crap, it helps so much to know if, I mean, we actually had a situation where Maddie Rogers was on the start list here, and Corinne was up at weigh-ins and I was on the floor, and she texted me and said, is Maddie coming? And I said, I haven't seen her and I kind of don't think so. But, but as George Fluter says, we are technical officials, not technical unofficials. So we need the actual official word that these people are not going to be there. We can't just like take a thought or something from it. So I actually went over to Greg Everett, who was there coaching somebody else. And I said, hey, is Maddie coming? And he actually said he was very embarrassed for them that they did not tell us that they were not going to be there. And he apologized and said, yeah, no, she's not coming. So then we didn't have to wait and we're able to go. I mean, it's not just like ease to like free up the weigh-in official. You're now letting that weigh-in official go take the data from the weigh-ins to go enter it into the system to make the cards to be able to put on the table to keep the meat flowing successfully.
And so coaches appreciate that because then the coaches get that sheet earlier and they can be like, all right, here's the lifting order, all that stuff.
Totally. Yeah. So it's not just like a selfish technical official thing. So
send an email or a message to someone and say, hey, I'm not coming today, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
I got 2 quick ones here. I saw in the WhatsApp for the technical officials, someone referred to donuts as fat pills. So that was kind of cool. So that's my new word for donuts, fat pills. I don't know who that was. And then I did see someone, I mean, we can't go a show without talking about wrestling. There was a coach, as I was marshaling, wearing a Stone Cold Steve Austin t-shirt with the skull on the back and then on the front. And I was tied. I didn't get a chance to be like, hey, like I didn't get a chance to talk to him. But I
talked to him. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I said, good shirt. I was at a jury table and I was like, oh shit. Yeah. I was like, sorry. Nice shirt. I'm happy to see that around here. And then he proceeded to what me and do that whole thing when we were talking. So it was funny, but yeah.
he bust out some fit aids, clashed them together.
Yeah, right. Right.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's those are the majority of my memorable moments. Outside of it was cool to see Hampton Morris lifting. There was another athlete in his session that hit a big clean. And then during the portion when he was pausing to do the jerk, there was a pause in the song. So it was like a big build up to the song. He hits the clean, it stopped, and then the beat dropped right as he hit the jerk and he made the lift.
Wow.
And that was a cool. He was from Garage Strength. I can't remember his name, but that was a cool thing to see. I was in the stands with our WSO athlete rep, Alyssa Garrison, Fen Dunn, and Sam Axton from Avitas. And we were watching that. And that was like, we were all like, that was super cool.
That was cool.
That was during that session.
You just reminded me too. Were you there for the Olympian send off?
I was not.
Oh, that was amazing. That was
Yep.
really cool. That was done really well. We presented all of the Olympians that are going with these fancy custom shoes that Will, our media director, made, and he put together a whole show, and they stood up on stage. But then we also had a whole bunch of past Olympians come send them off. It was awesome. So Tara Knott came, Carissa Gump was there. Who else? I mean, obviously Kara Head Slaughter was there because she's got athletes still. Yeah, Cheryl Hayworth was there also coaching. Who else was there? Fred Lau, one of our classic technical officials. Yep. And I mean, there are a couple, Bernard. Yeah. So it was really cool, and they got to stand there and send them off. And Cheryl was actually like a little bit of an MC to introduce each of the Olympians, and it was really special and really cool and awesome to see. And it's nice that we have so many Olympians that are still around and involved in weightlifting. How exciting.
Cool that they're still coming around and probably giving advice or just at least motivating the current class. So yeah, I did see that. That was cool. There's of course the viral video of Cecily Kyle, right? Resetting her finger after she dislocated it on the clean, and then she puts her hands back on, hits the jerk. I'm pretty sure everybody in the world has seen that video at this point.
Yeah.
Phil Sabatini retiring was pretty cool. A very emotional moment, putting the shoes out there on the platform. I had no idea he was still lifting, so like that was pretty cool.
He's one of those like Dean, masters athlete, but still very competitive as a senior. So it's like, yeah, cool.
So yeah, just a great event. So many magical moments, great experiences. Some tricky experiences, but hey, that's part of the ride, part of the ride.
Agreed. Yeah.
Well, Sarah, I think it's time for you to go back to work.
Back to work. Yeah.
Well, thank you for taking the time to get this recap in. I feel like this is good. We do a preview show and then a recap. We'll have to keep doing this for maybe the national events. Talk about everything that went down. Where can people follow you?
Sarah Soto Rep on Instagram. Yeah.
Yep. For all of your WSO USA weightlifting needs, if anyone has a question, you can follow me at James A. McDermott on Instagram, or probably even easier if you have a WSO type of question at New York Weightlifting, which is right there on the little slider thing. Go to nywso.com and you can see all the amazing things that we're doing there as well. The newsletter will be coming out soon. And I don't know what that sound is right now here. Oh, maybe your headphones died. Possibly, just I don't know. It sounds like waves, a rushing of water just happened. That was so random.
Weird. No.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody. All right. Hopefully, if anyone's watching this, that's in the audio. So I'm just not the crazy person that all of a sudden heard. It was like when you hold your ear up to a seashell, like type of thing. So hopefully that's not just me, because that's a bigger problem. All right. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Happy belated birthday again, Albert. Great job, everybody, for the New York WSO at Nationals Week, and all the technical officials out there for your perseverance and volunteering. And we will talk to you all again very soon.
And don't forget to sign up for states with the early bird pricing.
Boom. Yes. Don't forget. 3 days left.